computer. Good morning. Hi, Kyle. How are you, Batman?
Good morning. I am excellent.
Good. Everybody, welcome. Today is a safety meeting, so good morning, good afternoon, whatever time today finds you. So we're going to just start right in. Kyle, would you like to say anything?
Let's all be safe. Remember that there will be a test at the end, so please pay attention as we go.
Yes, and I will tell you that the test, make sure if you don't have a pen and a piece of paper right now, go ahead and hit the pause button, because there will be stuff on this test that when you take it, and this is how Travis and Double B know that you've taken the test, that you've actually watched the safety meeting. Ryan and Travis and Batman have all taken the test prior to actually getting to see the presentation. So please take time to go find a pen and a paper right now. So again, welcome to the June safety meeting. We're going to be going over, see if the screen will change on us. A CSA update, some heat and summer traffic stuff, DOT inspections, accidents, repairs and post-trip and pre-trips and trash in the trucks. Operations has a little bit to add, and so again, that'll be kind of important that you get those questions correct, since operations is experiencing some difficulties. We've got some paperwork and more communication and so forth, maintenance, and our next safety meeting, and then you will have a link that will be given to you that you can do on your tablet or your phone or at home on your computer to take the test. And again, the test is how we know you've watched the safety meeting. Kyle, do you have anything to add?
I think you're right on top of things. Let's start this meeting.
All right. Well, CSA is Compliance, Safety, and Accountability, and that's how FMCSA rates our safety. And at this point, we have, in the last 2 years, 227 inspections. Those total inspections without violations of 109. We have 118 with violations. FMCSA says that we have 14 DOT reportable accidents, which include either a hearse, a nurse, or a tow. Fortunately, we don't have any hearses. If you get a tow, you got to have a ticket. So in that, we have 14 DOT reportable accidents, which is pretty high. So they rate us by our peers, and I've gone over this in several safety meetings, and we talked about those alert statuses that we have. We currently have 3 alert statuses, one in the crash indicator, because some of those DOT reportable accidents puts us with our peers at a very high level, and we'll go over numbers here in a second on each of these. We have hours of service, which is obviously your ELD, and with ELD, we should not be in alert status. We need to make sure that we are verifying our logs and keeping those logs current and running within the limits of the law, minding those hours of service. Vehicle maintenance, we will go over those numbers also, but again, they're still very high. This is how our insurance is maintained and so forth, and our customers, when they book a load, actually look at this and realize that we have 3 alert statuses. So in crash, we are at 73%, and the threshold on that is 65. So it is a rolling 2-year calendar, so things fall off or the severity rate goes down. So we need to really make sure that we are not getting any DOT reportable accidents, so we can get this number down. This is a very important basic for insurance companies, because this tells them that we're likely to have an accident. So we need to all work really hard on that. Hours of service. At the Christmas party, I went over that we had finally dropped down below the threshold, but we're back up there at 75%. If you look at the trending from November to January, we're here we went right out, because it's always a month behind. So in November, we were great. In December, we got some violations, and then January, we got some violations. So we need to make sure those logs are current and stay connected at all times. If you've got issues, you need to get a hold of me. And we always run within the limits of the law. Maintenance. Well, last year at this time, we were at 98%, and we are at 93. That threshold is at 80. And we can definitely change this if we just do these pre and post trips that we're talking about. And if you look at the trending from November, December, January, and February, and now we are coming down from 7.59 on the trend to 6.76. If we keep this up, we should be able, within the next 6 months, hopefully, with some of the stuff that's coming on off of our CSA, that we should be able to get under that threshold, and that would be a great thing to do. So when we go over those pre-trips and post-trips, and when you're walking around those trucks, you need to think about that 93%. So how does CSA affect you, and how does it affect Double V? And I've gone over this, but some of you new drivers, DOT inspections stay on a driver's record for 3 years. And if I, brought you in and done orientation, we've gone over your PSB, and all of your DOT inspections that you've had are those, stay with you for 3 years. Those accidents are 5, but on DOT, they look at you for 3 years, and they look at Double V's record for 2 years. So again, it ages out over 24 months for us. So things that happened 24 months ago will fall off. Okay. So you need to remember when you're doing those pre-trips and you're wanting to get the heck out of there and hook it and leave, that those things stay with you for 3 years. So you need to. Our biggest things are tires, brakes, lights, and airlines. 32 DOT inspections in 2020. And again, when you looked at that screen before on those 32 DOT inspections, about half of those we were already out of service. So remember, these 32 inspections are going to stay with DOT for the 2 years and with you for 3 years. So make sure we're doing what we need to do to change those numbers. In 2020, we've had 4 accidents so far, okay, and only 1 of those are DOT reportable. So again, we need to be, aware of where we are, and let's keep these numbers down. 4 accidents is very high. All right, so Kyle, before we move on to some reminders, do you have anything to add for the CSA DOT inspections?
Just making sure that you're, again, like Serena said, going through those pre-trips and the post-trip inspections. It's very hot out. Make sure you're looking at your tires, your tire pressure. Big thing to do, especially during this anytime, but especially during the summertime when we've got really hot afternoons and cool mornings. Absolutely.
Good things. So in those reminders, our yard was just a couple of years ago that we put the asphalt down. Just a quick reminder that no oiling the chassis on the asphalt. Again, that speeding, and all of you have gone over this. When you leave James Street and come onto Central, whether you're on the road or coming down, it's 10 miles per hour. And when you guys are out on in the yard with the depot, you need to watch the lifts at all times. Personal vehicles are only allowed to be parked around the office. They're not to be parked out there where the shop is or where you've pulled the truck out. And again, no unattended trucks out front when you're pulling up to go talk to the office. You need to come in and, you need to park that truck so you're not blocking that depot. Okay, fuel island, reminder, fuel spills, oil spills, you need to clean it up and then you need to report it to the office. If you look over at the container, there's that dry sweep in the barrel in that container. And never, when you're pumping, leave that pump unattended. And then also, I didn't have it on here, but you need to make sure those fuel handles are over the edge inside of that. All right, yard trash. We go over this all the time. Let's keep our yard nice and clean. And if you get caught leaving trash on the yard, there is a $25 fine. And I will remind you that there are cameras out there on that yard. Truck inspections. I go over this every safety meeting, but you need to treat those trucks like your own. Even if you're an owner-operator, your dashes do not need to look like this. And I personally have seen, when you guys have pulled in, that you've got stuff obstructing your view, you got things up on the dash. Let's clean up that. and let's, keep our trucks clean. And that's how you present yourself to our customers, to DOT, to an officer, however. So let's make sure we're keeping those dashes cleaned off and the inside of your truck. So when you open the door, stuff isn't falling out. Have those permit books ready and things like that. Shop. Let's give those write-ups to safety first, bring them in the office, write them up, make sure that you write up everything that needs to be repaired. Don't just write up that you have a mud flap and we find out that your windshield wiper isn't working or you have a cracked windshield. If you're going to have a tire issue, let us know which tire on, a trailer or on your truck. And then once you write that up, if it isn't DOT that needs to be taken care of, we'll schedule that repair. And then, we have to have the truck, so you need to keep that schedule so we can get you in another truck and so forth. So make sure that you're minding those schedules. And then, as Dennis says again and again, when that truck needs to regen it, because if you're not regen it, you're going to just cause problems later. All right, turn off those ACs when you leave the truck. When you pull down James Street, it's a good time to remember just to turn that AC off, because when you don't turn it off and you get in there and start that truck, when that AC is turned on, it does damage the condenser. And then you're wondering why your AC is not working, and then we got to get it in the shop. So let's make sure we're turning those ACs off. When you're cooling down your truck and getting everything done, just reach over there and turn that off. All right, do you have anything to add on any of that, Kyle?
On the DVIRs, I just want to make sure that our drivers are filling out. Dennis and I talked about this actually this morning. I want to make sure that your DVIRs are being filled out completely. Your name, the truck number or the chassis or the trailer number, where specifically it is. The more notes that we have for the shop, the easier it's going to be for them to repair as we move forward. And it just makes things a lot easier for both the safety department and the shop as well.
Perfect. All right, like you said, it saves times later, leaving something for someone else to handle. Again, our big issues are tires, and lights, okay? So don't go out and tell Dennis or, or Bill or, Batman. You need to write up those DVIRs. We have it in documentation. And then again, we'll get that stuff scheduled. So write it up, write it up. All right, these are notes from Bill that he wanted me to share with you, all of you. So 35% of our drivers are not doing this pre-trips and post-trips. I'll tell you that Dennis, would tell me that he comes in early in the morning, he watches some of you guys get in that truck, you're never open the hood, you don't walk around, you jump in, you start up the truck, and you go. So there's stuff that when you've left your truck and come back that could happen. So these inspections are very important. If you perform those inspections, you'll be able to see the problem and address it in the yard. And if you don't do that, you'll be waiting on the road for roadside service. If you get a truck and it's your truck, familiarize yourself with that. Do you have diffuses? What do your fluids look like? Your tires, the brakes, wheels, just the overall appearance. So just don't think it's my truck and I've got everything. Really spend that time to familiarize yourself. Checking those tire pressures and lights and the condition of the tires before you leave the yard, is really important. Get it fixed there because it saves us money, saves you time. If you're out at the rail and you need to do those pre-trips on those chassis and really look at them, because you can get it fixed at the rail. There's no reason to bring a chassis back to Double V when lights aren't working, you got a bad tire, a flat tire, or a skid flat, leaks, or brake pods hanging down. If it needs to be fixed, we need to get it done at the rail, okay? Because if you don't fix it there, then it's going to end up costing Double V money because that's how it's set up. You find the issue there, you get it fixed, okay? Mud flaps. We have a few of you out there that are continually tearing up those mud flaps. You're, not sliding the fifth wheel, you're turning too tight. You need to make sure that you are doing what needs to be done so these mud flaps and the arms are, not being destroyed. And there is a $46 charge for those that continually do this. And I will tell you that there's no repair that gets done in that shop that does not go on a piece of paper that comes into the office that we don't document that. So if unit, 1, 2, 9/7 has continually to get mud flaps replaced, then we know that it wasn't just an accident. Those continual ones that we're looking at, and you will be charged that $46. Before crossing over a scale, we'd like for you to stop at a truck stop, safe location. Check those trucks, the chassis and trailers. Make sure that when you're rolling across those scales that you're ready to go. Look at your logs, look at your lights, make sure your tires are good. Hold on, low system reason may affect audio quality. Sorry, is audio good, Batman?
Audio is good.
Okay, perfect. So tires are good. If you have air leaks, you need to address that before you get across that scale. We've got to get that maintenance score down. It's cheaper and quicker and less time. If you look at it before a DOT officer finds it and you get put out of service, that 15 minutes will save hours for you later. So let's help us to help you keep rolling. Those containers and trailers, before you grab and take them, and this is from Shane, and I think Jennifer's had some issues also on the drive-in and stuff. I mean, you need to look at those containers and those trailers and make sure they don't have holes in them, make sure there's no rust. You guys need to check those placards, make sure they're on all four sides, make sure they're not painted over, make sure that they're completely removed if they need to be removed. Because, we have, customers that you get there that, this stuff is being rejected. And the last thing you want to do is to go and, taking a load or go to get a load and they reject you. So dispatch has to find you a new load and so forth. Just do it when you're picking it up. Okay, take the time. Okay. All right. Now, I'm reiterating this because those pre-trips and post-trips inspections, that if you are taking that time to do this, you're not going to have the stuff on your record for 3 years, and Double V's not going to have it on there for 2. Just remember, what you do today will affect you for the next 3 years. All right, truck driving tools. From Sully to Dennis to Bill to us, it's just the simple things. And a good professional truck driver, has a toolkit. They've got a Phillips and a flathead and a chisel hammer, a pair of vice grips, adjustable wrench, tire gauge, so you can check those tires because kicking it isn't always going to work. And, obviously the extra fuses and some air and an air line. Because if you get out there and have that issue, if you can learn to do those minor repairs and be able to make those adjustments, it's going to save you time and money later. And those fuses are DOT required to have in, so make sure you have those fuses, and we have bags available for you if you don't have those, company drivers. Rental and loaner trucks, this is a big deal. Those keys that you guys come and get, sometimes, a lot of the times we're not getting those back, and they're about $4 a piece. So you must always sign out a truck and sign out those keys. When you return a loaner, you need to make sure the truck is full of fuel and DEF. You need to clean out those the trash that's in there. And then lastly, you need to return those keys, and then you need to do a DVIR if there's something wrong with that truck, because other driver may come in right after you, we check it, but if we have to go fuel it out and put DEF in it and clean the trash out, it takes time. You're going to get it full, you need to return it full. Bring it back with some pride. All right, company versus owner-operators. We've gone over this before, but again, we're still at 80% of our DOT inspections are owner-operators. This is your equipment. There's no reason that your equipment, you need to make sure that you're taking good care of it, okay? Company drivers, remember those tires, lights, and brakes are what's costing us. We've gone over the pre and post trip. We've got to get that out of service rate down. And Batman will tell you, we've got to get those fuel receipts turned in. They must be turned in weekly. Monthly maintenance reports. Those are monthly owner-operators. We need those in. There's no reason that Batman or myself need to be calling you to get those in. You need to get them in. Daily sheets. They're daily. I understand drive-in, you're out. But when you're in the office, and we'll go over this a little bit later, it is daily that those need to be turned in. Attention to detail. Making sure that everything that you're turning in and everything that you're doing, that you're paying attention to each of the details. heat, and Batman mentioned this, you know, it's hot outside, the road is hot, we need to slow down, we need to inspect that equipment. When we're driving, let's not, you know, let's mind our speed, because if you get a blown tire out there on one of those chassis, the average time to get it fixed is 3 hours. We just need to slow down, because right now that heat, the hotter it gets, the more damage and more tire calls we're going to have. All right, now you personally, let's make sure that, you know, during this heat over the summer that you're drinking lots of water and, you know, and eating right and staying cool and getting showers and, you know, staying away from the alcoholic beverages and, you know, too long in the heat and junk food and that kind of stuff. Just drink lots of water and, you know, mind what clothing that you're wearing. Do you have anything you want to add before we go into personal conveyance, Batman?
On the trucker tools for our dry vans, I would make a suggestion that if you don't have like an air blower, you know, like a leaf blower, maybe invest in a leaf blower to keep those dry vans cleaned out. You know, you can always blow out trash or anything else, and you know, little things that might be in the dry van. That way you won't get denied a load, and you know, if you just go in there with a leaf blower to blow out your trailer before you pick up your next load, in case there's extra stuff that was laying in the trailer. It's an easy, quick way, instead of having to sweep out, you know, you're just blowing out. So that might be an investment as well to add on to things like that, just in my experience with dry vans and what I'm hearing from time to time from Jen with us getting shut down because the trailers are dirty and things like that.
Right. And you can find those at a garage sale for $5 or $10. So it's not like a big investment if you take it. And I know a lot of our van drivers have those. Perfect. So personal conveyance, I'm going to just kind of quickly go over this. I've had some issues and I've had to call several of you, you know, and remind you what personal conveyance is. Okay. The personal conveyance move has to be, after all, personal. If it is moving towards a shipper or receiver or heading towards double V, I mean, you're on duty. You're forwarding that load. So whether it's a load or just the chassis and container, I mean, you're still forwarding that load. Okay. Personal conveyance does not affect your on-duty time. Okay. A move when a driver is parked and off duty can be personal, because I get this a lot. Well, they wanted me to move over here and it's kicked me on. You've got that exemption, you go to that hours of service button, hit the exemption, you're moving it. It is your personal time. Maybe you're in the sun and you're trying to get away from it. That's not going to affect your drive time, and it's not going to kick you on duty. Just remember, if you go to a personal conveyance, you're going to have to take it off, okay? So make sure, again, and we're going to go over this, cannot advance a load being carried or the driver's job in some way. So anything that is in the advantage to double V is not personal, okay? And then, but if, you know, if you're a driver and you need to find a safe place to park and you've gone through that one truck stop or a rest area that doesn't, if you need facilities, obviously, you know, that's, you're using it for personal use. You'll go past, you know, a truck stop or something and you're heading towards double V or towards that shipper or receiver. That is not going to be personal conveyance. Remember, that's safe and reasonable and parking, okay? Kind of basically what we've gone over. I mean, I tell drivers, you know, when you're on your 10-hour break and you're hungry and you need to go to a restaurant or you need to do something personal, you know, going to find a safe bathroom, that is permissible under the regulations for personal conveyance, okay? Some of the stuff that is not personal conveyance is, and I get this all the time, I'm just going to take my truck over to get it washed. That is, you're benefiting the company, so that is not, you know, personal conveyance, okay? So if you have any questions on that, you are always free to call me on my cell and we can discuss it. I just always tell a story on those logs. If you're going to use personal conveyance, you can say, I am going to the closest rest stop. I am going to go get something to eat. I moved my truck to, you know, out of the sun. I moved my truck, you know, because they asked me to move it on my 10-hour break, which happens. Just tell us a story on those logs, because those logs stay with you for 6 months. And if we get audited or something, I have the ability to tell the story. And remember, you've got that GPS that's connected. So they're going to be able to tell, if you've passed, a safe location and you're forwarding that load. All right, I have a lot of you that have called me on this new hours of service. That's it says final rule, okay? And now there's some wonderful, great changes on this. A lot of it, with our local drivers, it will increase from 12 to 14 hours. And I have some of you that love to run the wheels off of a truck. So once this happens, obviously that's going to be an advantage to you. They've moved that 100-mile to 150-mile exemption, which, helps some of your regional drivers that do run local a lot of times and just occasionally will do, a short run that might be a little over that 100 miles. The adverse driving provision, which again, I tell you that if you're going to use that, you need to call me. I run a report, every day. It sends it to me. If you use that adverse, then I call you, and then you guys have got that phone call. Why did you need the adverse weather or adverse provision? And so you have to have a really good reason. But they are extending this for 2 hours. A lot of it because of accidents and things like that. That when you're on the highway and you can't get off the road, that they're going to extend that. One of the greatest things, and I think Tommy will love it probably more than anybody, is this the 8-2 split that a lot of you drivers have, after we've trained on it and how you use it, that you love it. That 8 hours, in sleeper and 2 hours either off duty or sleeper is going to move and have the ability to do it 7-3. Okay. And the other thing is the qualifying period does not count against that 14-hour window. Another great thing is the 30-minute break. Okay, so you guys are doing your day and you're out at the rail and all of this, and then you got to take that 30-minute break. When this goes into effect, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, another slide, this is only going to be 8 consecutive hours of drive time instead of the on-duty time. So this is going to be a great addition that, again, if you need a break and you need to take it during the day, for safety, let's always, mind safety. But this is going to be great that this counts against your consecutive, drive time. And then the on-duty not driving period to qualify required for, okay? So FMCSA final rule effective September the 29th. And I know, again, a lot of you guys have called me on this. And I want to just say, however, road safety advocates have vowed to challenge this. But FMCSA, they don't think that this is a good thing, so which could affect the deploy and the rollout of these changes. So they're not in effect today. I know some of you guys thought it was, but it's not possibly September 29th. I just remind you that when they changed the hours of service last time, it ended up in court for about 2 years. So effective right now is September 29th. Come on, computer. So this is the same one. I just want you guys to remember, maybe this might happen. There might be lawsuits. We don't know for sure when this is going to happen. So let's just hope that it happens and be excited about it. So you keep in mind that it's just not like a flip of the switch. September 29th is just around where all the ELD systems have to be updated, the computers behind them and stuff, and all law enforcement needs to be trained. So maybe not even the lawsuits being filed, it's just the compliance side of it, how the ELDs will work, and getting everybody trained. So we've decided here at Double V that we're not going to train on the new hours of service on September 12th, because then we'll be pretty certain that it'll roll out at the end of the month. So everybody be prepared that when you come in for that September 12th meeting, to be ready to be trained on that. So we'll be up and ready to roll with those new guidelines. Batman, do you have anything you want to add on any of that?
Just, yeah, that again, like Serena said, it may or may not happen. So again, we'll let you know as we get closer to that.
Perfect. All right, we're going to move into the operations time. So I'm going to put little Ryan's hat on, and Jennifer and Tracy and Keller and Shane. And a lot of this is stuff that they've set down, and don't forget, I got Travis's hat on to make sure that we're covering all bases. This is stuff that they have issues with continuously with, some of the drivers are just, on and off with others. So they wanted me to reinforce this. So again, always, You need to arrive and depart on the Disc Mobile on your tablet. When you arrive somewhere, dispatch knows you're there. When you depart, dispatch knows you've left. It also open and closes that load. So you need to make sure that you're doing this every time. TMP numbers, they need to be on every piece of paperwork that goes with each load. You need to remember to do that, okay? Just take the time, 436-715, and write it on the paperwork. So when you take that picture, it's on that load paperwork, and then when you turn that paperwork in, they're not trying to figure out what load that goes with. So let's make sure that you're writing those TMP numbers on. Make sure that all images are scanned and cropped correctly. So when you're taking those, hold those tablets up, take good pictures, make sure they're clear, and make sure that you crop them. So when they come in, it comes into the system nice and clean, because it's gonna, you do it right the first time, then operations and accounting is not having to do it on the other side. Okay, Batman, you want to add anything to that before I head on, since you've done dry van? Did I cover that okay?
Yeah, you covered it very well.
Perfect. So all drivers, if you have an MSC unit, it must go through the line and get checked in between the hours of 8 and 4:30. Just don't go drop it out there on the yard, because we won't know that it's there. So make sure if you're coming in with that unit between 8 and 4:30 when that line's open, that you're getting it checked in. Too many drivers are just dropping empties in the yard, and if you do drop it, you need to check it in. The unit's lifted. Each driver must terminate the chassis at the correct termination point. If you're not updating those tablets and checking it in and stuff like that, we don't know where that is, and Double V is incurring too many extra charges because this is not being done. So they wanted me to emphasize this a lot. Okay. Another thing we're having issues with is drivers being on time. We've had many reports of drivers being late. If you're going to be late, the most important thing you need to do is call dispatch first. And then, bottom line is, let's, schedule our time and let's just not be late. Other things that we're having issues is errors with, slowing down, entering information correctly. Pay attention to where you're going. You're picking up a load, you're going here, okay? Pay attention to what unit you're picking up. Make sure you're picking up the right unit, so you don't pick up a unit that's supposed to go to the rail, but it goes somewhere else, and then we've caused other issues in looking for it. And again, make sure you're entering that information correctly. Take your time. All right, daily sheets, everybody's favorite thing. So all paperwork must be turned in when you're at the Double V office. Don't hold that paperwork. If you're in the office every day, you need to turn the paperwork in every day. If you're in the office every other day, that paperwork needs to come into the office every day. Every other day, if you're there every other day. If you happen to be dry van and you only make it to the office once a week, you need to turn that paperwork in. We don't want to know that you've come in and we saw you on the yard, or you stopped in at the office and we don't have your paperwork. Then you have an issue. If you do not turn your paperwork in before the cutoff of that payroll or settlements, you will not be paid for that load until the next pay period. I mean, there's no reason that Julie or anybody or Jennifer or Keller's calling you asking you where your load stuff is, okay? Got to turn that paperwork in, get those TMP numbers. Just remember, I told you earlier in the presentation, there are cameras on that lot. So if you've been on the yard, that paperwork needs to be turned in. All right. Anything to add on that before I head on to the CVSA?
Just to make sure, also, if you're at the rail, make sure that you're checking the tires. I know we've had discussions in the office about that. Drivers are leaving the rail without checking tires. If you check your tires before you leave the rail, and there's a problem, they can fix it at the rail. Once you take it out, then it's costing us money and your time. So make sure that you're checking those tires before you leave the rail as well.
Perfect. All right, CVSA crackdown, okay? So since January, there's been a lot of things that, with the pandemic and stuff, that according to the Governor's Highway Safety Administration, less traffic may have encouraged some drivers to ignore safety laws, including speed limits. As a result, CVSA is going to crack down on speeding in its upcoming Safe Driver Week, which is July the 12th through the 18th. CVSA has cited that some recent examples of increased speeding. For instance, in New York, transportation officials reported increase of more than 60% of number of speed cameras tickets issued in March compared to a year ago. And, again, less traffic. At the same time, traffic was down more than 90% compared to January. So that's in New York, but it's the same across the country. In Minnesota, motor vehicle crashes and fatalities, excuse me, more than doubled compared to the same period in previous years. Half those deaths were related to speeding or careless or neglect driving, CVSA said. So again, they'll be cracking down on speeding. Everybody knows that brake check has always been normally this week around in June. It had been scheduled for May, but they had changed it. And so brake safety week is August the 23rd through August the 29th. This will be before our safety meeting next time. So I want to make sure, again, like I told you, when you got to have a pen and a piece of paper to write this down. Speeding crackdown is July 12th through 18th, and this is going to be nationwide. Brake check is August the 23rd to 29th. So please mark this down. We'll also send out ELD messages related to that. Okay. You are a Kansas CDL holder, and you are going to renew your driver's license. This is a requirement. It's been in effect for a little over a year, but I've had some of you that have gone to renew your license and not had this. Okay, when you take that test, this will be a question on there about renewing your driver's license. This is the only one I'm going to give you what might be on the test. If you click on check your answers when you're done, this actually has a link to where you can take this renewing, and then this is the human trafficking. So if you're getting close and you've forgotten about, where to find it, you can always get with Batman and I, and we can tell you. But this will be required for the renewal of your driver's license. All right. This is one of Travis's favorite slides that I ever did, so I had to keep it. So, when we're in the summer, we've got motorcycles, we've got teenagers that aren't in school and they're out there driving. You've got the deer, and we've got a couple of you that have already hit deer this year. So, just mind that you're looking for those, deer on the side of the road, watching for those motorcycles and those teen drivers that are out there that, don't know where your blind spots are. Okay, make sure you're checking those mirrors, taking your time. As a professional driver, you should expect the unexpected, not be like these young ladies down here on the bottom. I didn't expect that, talking on the phone and listening to music. Well, Batman, do you have anything to add as we close today?
Just remember that the COVID virus is still out there. Make sure that you are taking care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact. If you can do the 6 feet thing of social distancing, make sure that you're trying to do that. Cover your mouth and nose if when you're around other people. If you can, a lot of the shippers and receivers are now having drivers wear cloth masks in. If you don't have one, you may as well, at the truck stop, they're like $2-3 you can get, or you can get a packet, whatever. Just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Clean and disinfect a little bit. Wipe down your trucks, wipe down your wheels, wipe down your instruments and things like that. Just be aware that this is a real thing and it's happening, and we don't want you to get sick. We don't want us to get sick. So just again, monitor your health, monitor yourself and others as well.
Okay. So anyway, again, a lot of you, we said at the beginning, there will be a test that is online. It's really simple. You'll be able to do it on your phone. You can do it on the tablet, and Batman's done it. I mean, you fill out, some, personal questions, your name and what division you're in and so forth. And then there's 5 questions per page. So pretty simple, isn't it, Batman?
It was easy as long as you were paying attention.
Well, it's easy to take it, so it's not like you're going to have to type in a whole bunch of stuff. All of it's multiple choice except for your name, so you'll just select it and move on. Again, at the end of it, you can click on there to view your results, and when you click on that, you can see all the answers that you got right and all the answers that you got wrong and what the correct answer was. And just to let you know that when you log in with your information at time, date, stamps, when you started and when you finished. If for some reason you can't finish, and you can come back and start it over. So if you do hit the back button, you got to start it over because that's just how the system works. So Batman figured that one out the hard way. If you have any questions on any of this, feel free to call me on my cell. It's 913-777-9577. Feel free to call Batman at the office. We are always here to help you, and if you need anything, we're always here. And, if you do the right thing today, so you can do the right thing tomorrow. Keep those pre-trips and post-trips done, and we're glad to have you part of Double B's team. Thank you. Thanks,
All right.
Kyle.
You're welcome.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye.